Pastor Fury. Hey, I'm Armand Sheffy, aka Pastor Fury, and here it is, as promised, the long-awaited Twittorial. The tutorial all on Twitter, aka how to tweet like a boss. So I hope by the end of this video, you guys are going to have a very basic but full understanding of how to get the most out of Twitter and how you can tweet like a boss and light up your network. So let's jump right in and talk about what Twitter is in general. Twitter started as a mobile service, so that's why it only has 140 characters, because it's meant to be as short and sweet as your usual text message is. So the 140 characters really allows you to focus your writing on exactly what the main point of what you're trying to say is. So you get a lot less chatter and people get right to the heart of the matter. So that's basically what a tweet is. That's one message that is sent out. So when you hear people talk about tweeting, they're messaging, and it's another way of kind of saying a post or an update, so to speak. Now, when you're coming to your Twitter page, it's your profile, and on your profile you've got your profile picture. You've got the header background, which you can do with some creative sort of picture, or some people just do different texturized backgrounds, or some people leave it blank. I think that's a great place to add a little bit of personality, as well as the full page background. So you have a profile, header background, full page background. On some of the brands that you'll see, including my Twitter page, you'll actually see the background of the full page with some information or some things that are related to the types of things that you're going to see on that person's Twitter account. So people might have their website on their background, or other ways to contact them. Just another point of reference for ways to be able to engage with that Twitter user. Now, that's the profile. On the profile, you're also going to see things like the amount of tweets that person has done, which is a good indicator of, is this a real Twitter user, or are they just someone who happens to hold an account. You're also going to see their people that they follow, so like all the people that they are subscribing to their tweets for. So you know what, right there, let's jump right into what following is. Following is like you're used to with just about any other social network. It is where you are identifying that individual as someone that you are interested in reading what they tweet. So when you follow people, you are essentially subscribing to their Twitter feed. And now when you go to your home page, which there's a little home icon on your main page, when you go to your home feed, you're going to see all of the tweets from the people that you follow. So it's a lot like any other social network in that regard. So that's what following is. And on your profile, you're going to see under following the amount of people that you follow. And if you click on that, then you can actually see all of those people that you're following, and you can choose to unfollow them from that page as well. Understand that is also a public view screen, so anyone else can see the people that you're following as well. Now, the next little icon that you're going to see is the people that are following you. So there you can actually see anytime someone decides to follow you, they will be added to that list. And then you can check out their profile and determine whether or not you want to follow back. I personally think it's polite to follow back people, but I don't think that's necessarily the way to dictate whether or not you follow folks. Here's a very important policy that I follow with following back folks. I look at their profile, I briefly look at maybe the last 5-10 tweets, and I determine one of two things which might help me in my decision to follow them back. One, are their tweets mostly positive, inspirational, informational, or are they mostly negative, and where they're just kind of like vomiting all over their Twitter feed? Clearly between those two, you can tell which one would be likely for me to follow them back. In addition to that, if it's someone who is social And you can tell if they're social on Twitter, not by the amount of tweets that they have, but are they tweets where they're mentioning others? What is a mention? A mention is where you see that at symbol, the symbol that you find in email addresses. That at symbol goes right before the name of a Twitter user, so a Twitter user's name. So for instance, mine is at Armand Sheffy, all one word. So when someone puts that in a tweet, they are mentioning me. Now, a mention can do a couple of things. A mention can let someone know that you're talking to them. So you might say, at Armand Sheffy, I really loved your Twittorial. Now I'm ready to tweet like a boss. Or it could be you sharing something that this person did. So it could be a quote like, don't follow those that don't tweet. At Armand Sheffy. So maybe that's a quote that you just shared with folks. You can also use the at symbol to attribute a quote or something or a blog post to someone. So you mention them by saying something like, quote, don't follow those who aren't social. At Armand Sheffy. So that right there lets me know, oh, they shared something about me, as well as attributing that quote to me as others look at the tweet. So that's the main idea with mentioning. So those types of mentions will show up in your section that says notifications. In your notifications, you're going to see whenever someone mentions you, whenever someone follows you. You'll also see whenever someone retweets you. What's a retweet? A retweet is when you've posted something or tweeted something that someone really enjoyed it or wants their network, their feed of folks to be able to see it. So they're going to do what's called a retweet. So a retweet lets everyone else in their network, all of their followers, see the same content that you just tweeted. Now you can retweet one of two ways. You can do a quote retweet, where it actually puts the entire tweet that someone else tweeted in quotation marks and puts it on your page. So it actually acts as a mention, so to speak, where it kind of mentions their name because their name is going to be shown. So it'll say like, quote, at Armand Sheffy, and then it'll say, don't follow those who aren't social, end quote. That's a quote retweet. Then there's a normal retweet, which actually completely takes a snapshot of that person's tweet and puts it in your feed and sends it out to the folks. So as you're looking at this person's feed, you won't see a quote, but you'll actually see what looks like, oh, this person just tweeted on that other person's account. So it kind of gives you, variation of the different Twitter profile avatars in there. I kind of mix it up just to make it look a little bit interesting, but I also like to do the quote retweets as well, just because I think it's good social manners to mention folks, and also I like it to show up differently in other services that I use. But that is more advanced for another conversation, and we'll get there later. Okay, so at the top of your screen, you've got your home section. You've got your notifications, which I just talked about, which is where you have, your retweets and your interactions essentially with folks. So this is an important tab to stay connected, stay social with people. And then you also have a Discover section. Discover is going to be great. Discover is one of the things that made Twitter stand out and separate itself from a lot of the other social networks, because Twitter invented the hashtag. So you've seen those probably now at this point in Facebook and in Instagram and in other locations, but a hashtag is essentially a way of tagging your material so that it's searchable in areas where people are looking for general types of information. So for instance, if we're sharing that tweet, don't follow those who aren't social, I might hashtag that netiquette, like net etiquette, or I might say like hashtag tweet like a boss. Actually, you know what? That's going to be our hashtag for this tutorial. If you like it and you share it, say hashtag tweet like a boss. Yeah, I know you guys have probably seen that video. You know what? Actually, I'm going to have a little link with that, with the Justin Timberlake, Jimmy Fallon video. Hilarious stuff. But hashtags are exactly how to categorize things. Okay, when you go to the Discover tab, you're actually going to be able to find a bunch of different tweets that are kind of tailored just for you. They're basing that stuff off of people you follow, as well as things that you're interested in, things that they've seen that you've clicked on, and that sort of thing. Those are going to be the tweets under the Discover tab for you. You'll also be able to click on activity here, and within activity you're going to see some of the things that the people you follow are doing. So where they're favoriting different tweets, you can see that here, because those won't normally show up in a person's Twitter feed. So when you favorite a tweet, it doesn't show up that way. Okay, so maybe it's a good place for this conversation. What is favoriting? It's a lot like liking a post on Facebook. It is where you're saying, oh, that's good stuff. There's a little star that you're going to click on there, and then it favorites that. That joins into your in the activity feed, so to speak. So those people that follow you will be able to see that information there. And then also on your in your me page, in your profile page, you have a link that says favorites, and you can see all the favorites that you've collected there on that page too. Now you also have one that says who to follow. This is where, kind of based off of the people that you follow, things that they might have in common, as well as just some people that are popular, they have some recommendations of different Twitter users that you might want to follow. So that should be pretty self-explanatory. You can go through there, and that's a great place to start if you haven't really followed many people yet, just to get into the community. And then you've got Find Friends. Another great place to start, because here you're going to be able to import your contacts from places like Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail, AOL, and you can invite other friends that you know might want to be on Twitter via email. So that's a great way to get your contacts into Twitter, so you have people that you actually know that you're able to follow. And then lastly, they have popular accounts, so like high-level Twitter users from famous folks all the way down to just people who are, you know, really into the Twitter lifestyle and have a lot of followers. So if they're popular on Twitter, this is where you'll be able to find them here. So I know a lot of folks that follow some big time names. I usually follow people that are Christian famous. So, but either way, if they tweet well, I will follow. Now, that's the essentials of the Discover tab. And then lastly, I've kind of talked about this already, but it's the Me tab. This is where you've got your tweets that you've done, where you've got the people that you're following, you've got those that are following you, you have your favorites, which we talked about, which is like liking things, and then we have one of my favorite features. It's called lists. Lists are amazing. Lists are basically a way where you can categorize people based on whatever it is that you want. So you can make a group of folks that you follow for one purpose or another. So for instance, I have a list that's all church planters, or people that post about church planting. So it has the Exponential Twitter user account in there, which is a conference that's all about making churches grow exponentially, aka church planting. So those are, when I click on that list, I can see all of the tweets from the people that I've gathered together in this list. I have one all on podcasting, one that's leadership quotes or church resources, or people who blog a lot, my favorite musicians, all people in my church. I have them all in one list. Then there's lists that you actually get added to. Every time you create a list and you add someone to the list, they actually get notified, hey, ding, 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 someone just added you to a list. So it's kind of a cool way to continue to aid interaction with folks, because like I just got added to a list called Pastors in Illinois. So now whenever someone goes to this list, which is a public list, they'll see me along with other pastors that are involved in churches in Illinois. So Twitter lists are a great thing that you're going to want to put together. That way it really makes Twitter more personalized to you and what it is that you want to be reading about. This becomes more and more valuable as the amount of people you follow grows. And I think there's two trains of thought with following folks. There's some people that are very limited with who they follow. They really are considering the people they follow to be speaking a message about who they are. For me, I'm just a social guy. So if you're not being negative online, I'm gonna follow you because I want to be reciprocal. If you follow me and you're a positive person, I'll follow you back. However, some folks, they very much limit the people they follow. But you can put people in the list whether or not you follow them. So this is a great way to be able to control the content that you ingest and when you ingest it too. So maybe you just are having a hard day and you want something inspirational. So maybe you've got an inspirational group of posts or people that post inspirational stuff. Or maybe you're like, oh man, it's March Madness time, NCAA season. It's the only time of year that I'm really into sports. So maybe there you've got a collection of sportscasters that are talking sports all the time, and now you can click on that list and you can get involved in whatever the conversation is on the NCAA. So that is a cool feature that you want to get involved in. And then you're going to have trends. Trends is something that's shown on here that interacts with the hashtag feature of Twitter. When something is hashtagged and it gets popular, and a lot of people start tweeting things to that hashtag, it is now trending. So the more and more people that are hashtagging something means that trend is growing and growing and growing. So hashtag Divergent, for example, that's that book that that book series that is coming out. Actually, there's a movie coming out now. Wes Jones, shout out to you. Way to be in the movie. He's part of the Dauntless crew. So hashtag Divergent is going to give you all of the tweets that people are posting about Divergent. You have, every Thursday, people do Throwback Thursday, where they're doing tweets about the past, and remembering what happened, a while back. So hashtag TBT is something you'll see on Thursdays. On Fridays, TGIF, thank God it's Friday, and so on. That's a trend. Okay, more and more people that are tweeting with a hashtag means that it's trending. So now you know, and you can actually see those trends over here on your left-hand panel of your Twitter feed, and then you'll be able to change those trends. So they have trends based on regions. So some things that are popular and trending in Charlotte right now, for example, might not be the same things that are trending in Chicago. So you can change your trends based on region or country. For instance, right now I'm just looking at the US trends. So that is another feature that you'll find here on your Me section that you're going to want to really check out and really try to take advantage of. I think it's a great way to talk about what it is that you want to talk about with great folks. And for me, I like trends as well, because when I see what everybody's talking about, I can then find a way to speak life and inspiration into those conversations, because not always are the trends positive and uplifting. Sometimes you'll see something like 10 things I hate about you, and I might come into a trend like that, and not breaking any of the social norms, but adding to that some sort of value, I might say 10 things I hate about you. I can't think of any because you're awesome. Like that way I'm kind of speaking some sort of life into a dark realm. So that's just my 2 cents. Okay, so at this point, there's really only 2 more things that I think you really need to know in order to tweet like a boss. First of all, private messaging. There is a private messaging feature in Twitter. It allows you to just do private communication with another user, just like Facebook chat would. All you do is go to the little mail icon at the top of your screen, the top right hand part of your screen, and then you can privately message or DM, direct message to someone in your follower base. So it has to be someone who follows you. So that way you can't just be spamming random people. Speaking of spamming, even if it's someone you follow, I don't recommend you just spamming people and messaging them links over and over again. That's a really quick way to get unfollowed. So once again, the private message feature, it also adheres to the 140 characters, so you can't send very long, detailed messages. So private messaging is a feature that is great to have further communication with folks that you don't necessarily want everyone to see. So please make sure you take advantage of that. One other cool thing about Twitter that I think helps it stand out from other social media like Facebook is live tweeting. Live tweeting is something that has become popular, that really gets viewers of your tweets involved in what it is that you're doing. So if you're attending an event, tweeting the highlights or the important moments, that's a social norm on Twitter. It's not something that is so accepted on Facebook. As a matter of fact, I've heard people complaining about how they're tired of seeing, every basket in a basketball game being posted on Facebook. But those sorts of things are actually more acceptable on Twitter. You'll see a lot of people using hashtags for events, tweeting the main parts of the event. So if you weren't able to attend the event, you can actually just go to the hashtag and follow along with what's going on. People did that with the Super Bowl and were able to follow along and be part of the conversation that's surrounding the event. So it's a really cool feature. I like to do it when I'm in church sometimes, where I'm live tweeting the awesome quotes, maybe some segments of the worship music and that sort of thing. So live tweeting helps the people who follow you get engaged with what it is that you're doing. And overall, one of my favorite things about Twitter is that it is a global network that gives you an opportunity to speak into the lives of people from Venezuela to Colorado, from your neck of the woods to the desert. You have an opportunity to speak life and encouragement into the lives of people all over the world through live tweeting, through direct messaging, through creating and using lists. You can interact with people all over the place. You can get great resources from all over the world. You can be a generous person, sharing freebies, sharing knowledge, sharing your world with the world. And that's one of the things that I love about Twitter, and I hope you do too, and I hope you experience the uplifting of your voice, because Twitter gives you a voice. So use that voice well, live well, and tweet like a boss. God bless y'all.